Hey everyone, so welcome. And as always, I'm going to check sound, make sure everybody can hear me. If someone can just leave me a chat. Awesome. Thanks, Meredith. All right. So today we're gathered together and we are practicing Yin Yoga. And the sequence I've got for us this week is called Double Trouble. And Double Trouble is all about working the hips and the spine simultaneously. All right. I'm just trying to get my screen to come back. It's very finicky. It's not wanting to play in real time. So I'll just leave it like this then. Okay, so Double Trouble works the hips and the spine simultaneously. So unlike some other sequences that we've done together in the past, where we separate the two, today we are working them both simultaneously. So let's go ahead and start with a half butterfly. The right leg will be straight. Left foot will come to the inside of the thigh and we'll fold forward and down. Okay, so it looks like that. Now I've got my props over there. That's kind of the standard allotment of props. Feel free to use a block under your forehead, forearms, under this left knee. You could also rest your torso on a bolster. You could sit on a bolster, blanket, or a block to tilt you forward more aggressively. I do not recommend grabbing and pulling yourself down. Instead, just let those arms relax. Let your head hang. And we'll be here for 5 minutes. I'll let you know when it's time to come out of it. There's no particular way that you need to breathe. There's nothing that you need to focus on particularly in terms of chakras or anything like that. You can just relax for the next about 4 minutes. And again, I'll let you know when it's time to come out of the pose. Otherwise, we just hang out and let the pose do its thing. Hi, Alyssa, welcome. We're doing half butterfly. We just started, so you can join us at any time that you're ready, okay? And again, we'll be here for about 4 more minutes. Now, as always, most of you know this, but anyone who's newer might not, and that is that if you're having a hard time, if you feel like you're doing something that might be hurting you, if you're not feeling the stretch here in the back of the right thigh like you should, then let me know. Put something in the chat. If you're watching this later online as a recording, not live, then you could send me a note on my website, ask me a question, describe what's happening, and I will try my best to help you out. That is a very important step. And I find it's one that many students are reluctant to take. So I kind of harp on it a little bit. I harp on it because I teach a lot. So I see a lot. I see students who are reluctant and then later tell me that they had a problem. And I say, well, why didn't you tell me while we were in class? And they kind of shrug and make a face and they don't really know why. And unfortunately, I think this comes down to education. Now, I've had people get upset with me when I say this, but I really think it's true. I'm not trying to put down educators. I'm not saying if you're a teacher, you're a bad person, or even if you're an administrator in school. But I think just our whole education system is lacking a bit. So ideally, in my mind, and what do I know? I'm a yoga teacher, right? Sometimes people get upset with me again. I was like, who cares what I think? I'm not a policymaker. I'm not the president, not even the governor. I don't have any influence over such things. It's just one person's opinion. But again, based on what I see, it's unfortunate that students are discouraged from asking questions. At least when I got educated, a lot of it was a teacher stands up there and just drones on and on and on and on. And if we ask a question, a lot of times we look stupid, right? You're asking a question because you didn't understand it. That was a lot of the sort of implication of it. So by the time we get to be an adult and we're doing yoga, we don't want to be the stupid one. We're not going to raise our hand and say, hey, what about this? Or I'm feeling that. Or we're going to assume we're doing something stupid or wrong, and we don't want to look stupid. I think this is a lot of why students are so reluctant. Even when they're having a hard time, they're reluctant to speak up. All right, I got just a minute here, and then we'll switch sides, okay? Okay, side two. So we'll come on up, taking the left leg out straight. This is half butterfly. And we are targeting here, and we're also targeting a gentle stretch in the back of the spine, but you might not feel that. Most of it will probably be felt here. Okay, so let's take our time and make our way back onto our back, and we will rebound there, relaxing there for a few moments. And then let's bring our legs in, give them a little squeeze, and we'll move around a little bit, shake things out. Then to come up to seated, we'll hinge. So hands under hips, extend the legs. If there's any pain in your back, bend your knees. Otherwise, the legs are straight. Lift the head and neck. Take a deep breath and exhale. Lower the legs toward the ground. Just before they touch, pause. Inhale, pop them up, and exhale. Let the legs pull you up to a seat. All right, so I'm going to turn to face the long side of my mat. It's up to you whether you choose to do that. You can keep your heels on the mat if that is helpful by doing that, but it's not required or anything. Take the legs straight and wide, and then we'll turn toward the left foot. I'm not mirroring, so you should be going in that direction. All right, so this is my left leg. You're folding over your left leg. And we want to feel if we have a stretch in our right waist and inside of the left thigh. If yes, just stay right here. Again, I'm not pulling, I'm just holding myself in position. And then if you don't feel it, begin to stack or to roll right shoulder over left shoulder. We want to feel a stretch in here, okay? This is called half dragonfly. Kind of an intense posture. And that's this posture. And the next set that we'll do is part of the reason why I call this sequence double trouble. The double comes from hips and spine being targeted at the same time, and the trouble is postures like this one that, at least for some people, are difficult. When I say some people, I include myself in that group. This is quite an intense posture for me, quite challenging. More than halfway there. We've got just 2 minutes left here. "30 seconds. All right, if you made it through that, good work. We're going to switch sides. Again, not an easy posture to hold. If you have to come out of it, you do what you need to do. Okay, we don't want to injure ourselves or make ourselves so miserable that we don't come back to class. At the same time, we don't want to be afraid of taking ourselves to our edge and exploring what might be uncomfortable and unfamiliar for us. There's a lot of growth and learning that happen when we do that. I'll remind everybody that if you're having any kind of trouble or you have a question, please do not be afraid to ask. There's an old cliche saying that there are no stupid questions, only stupid people who don't ask questions. So don't be afraid to ask your question. Usually when you have a question, someone else also has the same question. Less than a minute left. Okay, so just taking your time, making your way back onto your back. We'll rebound for a few moments. That last posture targeted the adductors on the inside of the thigh and the oblique muscles on the outside of the waist, the intercostals on the outside of the ribs, and it brought the spine into what's called lateral flexion. If none of those things really mean anything to you, just know that those are all very good things for us, generally speaking. Stretching certain muscle groups and working certain joints in the body. Let's bring our legs in now. We'll give them a little squeeze and shake off that last set. I wish I could say that that was the most challenging part of our class, but this next set may be even more challenging, at least for some students. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 choices today for the next posture. Now, I'm going to position myself so that you can see my left leg, because it's the right leg that will be stretching, but it is the right leg we're interested in, not the left leg. Okay, so let's come into a bear pose. We'll just do a little stretch here before we continue on. Just checking in, moving the body a little bit. And then when you're done with that, you can come into a bit of down dog. Okay, now just relax for a moment. You can take a seat, and I'm going to give you 3 choices for the left leg position. Remember, it's the right hip that we want to stretch, but to do that, we have to place the left leg in the right position. We want the left leg in a position that it will feel safe, and also so that it will give us an effective stretch. So I'm going to demonstrate 3 positions from least effective, for me anyway, to most effective. So the least effective position is this one. Familiar to many, it's called pigeon or sleeping swan, or swan pose. If I do this and I push myself back far enough, I can generate a little bit of stretch here. It's not here. I don't care about this today. All right? It's here. Do I feel a strong stretch there? The answer is no. It's not very effective. Okay? So this is for me. It may be different for you, but it's for many people. So be honest with yourself. Even though you might like this pose and you might enjoy the stretch here, that isn't what we're going for today. Second position is this one. This is called dragon flying high. I believe we did this last week if you were there. We're targeting the hip flexors, the same area we were last week. And again, this leg, it doesn't really matter what it does. We're trying to stretch here. This for me is effective. I feel the stretch where I want to feel it, okay? And again, torso up and back. I could have my hands here. I could have them here, whatever works. Final position I call half seal. That looks like this, okay? Again, torso up and back. This is very often the most effective of the 3, okay? So again, I'm going to turn now so I can point to it. I am targeting here, all right? Even though I showed you 3 positions for the left leg, it's the right leg that I am trying to stretch. Now you'll see I have my blocks. I'm pushing myself back. That's because the hip flexors, which we are stretching, attach to both the leg and the spine. I'm also trying to bring my spine into what's called hyperextension, which is a fancy way of saying a back bend. So hopefully you can see I'm in a back bend and I'm stretching here. My leg is in what's called hyperextension. It's back behind me. Okay, now this position, really all 3 of them, are not an easy position to hold for 5 minutes. So we're just doing the best that we can. Again, I may not be able to hold it for the full 5 minutes. That's okay. Just doing the best that you can. Now these muscles, the hip flexors that we're stretching here, they are very often responsible for things like knee pain, back pain, hip pain, okay? So in one article I read, it called the hip flexors the great pretender. In other words, a lot of pain that we feel isn't caused by the knee or the hip or the back. It's actually caused by dysfunction in this muscle group. So I'm going to make a generalization, and whenever I'm generalizing, it's not always true. So just keep that in mind. It may not be true for you, but it's often the case. So in general, the more sensitive you are here, the more painful this is, probably the more that you need this stretch. And this is true of a lot of things in life. Not everything, but a lot of things are that way. The more that we are made uncomfortable in certain situations, very often it means that we could actually learn and grow more by putting ourselves into those difficult or uncomfortable situations. And the longer I live, the more I find myself being drawn to those things that I find uncomfortable or difficult, or things that I told myself I might never do. I find myself being drawn to those things. And you could think of this as almost like finding an edge in life. And what we find is that really helps keep us sharp. It helps our bodies to stay strong and healthy, teaching them to do new things even as we get older. Not getting comfortable with what we already know and what we can already do. So yoga is a great way to do this. But other ways that I want to explore once we're out of this pandemic are things like dance. I'm not a dancer. I've never really felt comfortable dancing. I don't dance. And so I'm very much excited about the idea of trying to explore that. Putting myself in situations can make me uncomfortable, having to force my body to move in ways that maybe it's never moved before. So that's just one example for me. You might be very comfortable dancing. For you, it might be something like music, or for some people, it's yoga. I know students who their first yoga class, they felt almost like, they were really doing something outside of what was normal and comfortable for them. But they did it, and they got a lot from it by doing that. And so life is beautiful. There's so many things to learn and to try and to do. And again, it's great to figure out what we like doing and to do that, of course. I love making music, and I hope to do that for the rest of my life. And music is very deep. You can challenge yourself with music for the rest of your life. You can challenge yourself with yoga for the rest of your life. But at the same time, there's a certain kind of there's something about doing something that really is truly new, not a new variation of something you're already doing, but doing something completely new. And that's sort of my idea with doing dance. Okay, I hope I was able to distract you a bit. Very uncomfortable posture. We're going to switch sides now. I'll turn around this way. You don't need to turn. Okay, so we're here. Again, any one of those three that work for you. And again, the target is here and here. And this is, I'm doing half seal, and you are doing half seal or half pigeon, or what we call swan pose in Yin. Or you are doing the dragon flying high. Any one of those are potentially hip flexor stretches. You could also do a full split. I forgot to mention that. You could do a full split, but have your torso up and back. That will also be a hip flexor stretch. All right. And again, why do we stretch the hip flexors? Because it's good for them. I think I mentioned this last week. Nice way to think about what we're doing in Yin Yoga is think about your work. So very often we find that when we get home from work, we want to do the opposite of what we were doing at work, most of the time. So if you do a lot of physical labor for your work, it's unlikely that when you get home, you want to do more physical labor. You probably want to sit down, lay down, relax. If you sat at a desk all day, you might find that you want to do yoga. You want to do vinyasa yoga. You want to move. You want to breathe heavily. You want to sweat, because those are things you weren't doing during the day. So muscles, when they do work, they contract. You may have heard me say before, there are no pushing muscles, okay? When I straighten my arm, there isn't a muscle that pushes my arm straight. No, it's the muscle back here pulling, okay? It pulls on the ulnar here and straightens my arm. So the reason this is significant is because muscles, just like you, want to do the opposite of what they usually do. That's how they rest. That's how they recover. That's called stretching. When a muscle does work, it contracts, okay? When my fingers, when I do this, I'm contracting muscles, okay? So when I relax those muscles, my fingers open. And then if I do this, I push back, I'm stretching those muscles now. And again, the muscles generally like that, because it would be a little bit like, again, you coming home from doing physical labor all day and getting in to relax and maybe even get a massage, something like that. So this is why, generally speaking, muscles appreciate getting stretched. It's relaxation for them. It helps them to recover more quickly and more fully, and it can be very therapeutic for them. Now, as I said earlier, there's an exception to every rule. So if you are injured or you've got some particular thing going on, it may not be beneficial for you to stretch. But these are very rare cases. And in those rare cases, you probably don't want to do a drop-in yoga class like this. You probably want to do therapeutic yoga. You want to find a physical therapist or a yoga therapist and have them guide you. This class is a general drop-in yoga class. It's really meant for a general audience, a relatively healthy audience, and not people who have a lot of, specific problems and injuries and things that need to be tended to. And this is important to understand. There tends to be a lot of confusion with that in yoga in particular, I think because many people see yoga as a therapeutic practice, and it can be. But there's, therapeutic, and then there's therapy. And so while yoga might be therapeutic, it might make us feel better. It might help us heal from certain injuries. If we've got something really serious going on, we need to get professional help. And this is one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of Gray Cook, who developed the FMS, functional movement screen. Is he found once he got into training people that there was no measure for whether a person was healthy enough to start training. He found that many athletes who were coming to him to enhance their performance were not healthy enough for him to actually even train them. They needed to have medical attention, but they didn't even know that. They didn't realize they didn't have a performance problem. They had a medical problem. All right, let's go ahead and come on out of this. I'm happy to report that that was the difficult part of the sequence. We are now through that. Should be much smoother sailing from here on out. Let's go ahead and relax on our back for a few moments. All right, we'll pull our legs in, give them a little squeeze with the leg cradle. Moving a little bit usually helps. And then we'll finish with TTR, or twisted roots. Make sure you know your left and your right. Take the left leg over the right. You can lock ankles if you want, but you don't have to. Your legs could be like that. And we'll drop the knees to the left. Okay. Feel free to position your knees wherever you like, your arms wherever you like, your head wherever you like. What we want to happen here is the right hip is drawn over the left hip, but my right shoulder stays near the ground, and that creates a spinal twist and also a stretch into my side. So I feel it here, but maybe you feel it here in the side of the leg. You can play around with the straightness of your legs and the position of your knees, also the position of your head and your neck. All right. You might be able to generate a stretch up here. All right, so gradually making your way over to the other side. This is our last pose. So again, there's a tendency to do the wrong leg. This isn't twisted roots. This is twisted roots. So we take the right over left down to the right. Again, we're feeling it out here. As I mentioned in the previous class, the vinyasa class before this one, I've been having trouble with my hip. And so this position really makes me aware of that. I can feel those muscles and other things that are sore and stiff in there. I can feel them getting stretched here. Now, again, when we're injured like that, it can be sometimes tricky to determine, is something helping or hurting the injury? So it's not always clear cut. For me, my best guess today is that this is helping. It feels good. It's intense, yes, but there's a nice stretch. And again, very often the muscles like being stretched. And so I'm going to run with or assume that this is helping me. All right. All right, let's unwind from that. Coming back onto your back, taking the rebound. And then let's bring our legs in, give them a little squeeze, shake it out. And we have just enough time to do a little bit of progressive relaxation, or we could say yoga nidra, however you want to think about it. Yoga nidra usually lasts longer, and it is not just the body scan, but in psychology, I believe the body scan is called progressive relaxation. And so we're just doing that one little part to help you hopefully relax more deeply. So make yourself very comfortable laying down on your back. Use your props to help you get comfortable. And we're just going to do a couple of minutes of this. So it's not going to be particularly long. And it's a type of guided meditation. So laying back on your back, still your body, quiet your mind, and set the intention to remain still and to remain awake. If you hear some loud noise, that's just the thunder in the background. It's raining here. It's probably raining where you are as well. So relaxing on our back, let's take a nice full breath in and we'll exhale with a deep sigh. And let's do that again. Take a nice full inhale and exhale, let it all out. Then just allow your breath to be natural. And begin to follow your breathing. With each breath, feel the body and the mind beginning to let go, beginning to relax. Then move your awareness to your toes. Feel the toes and feel your toes relax. Now the feet and ankles. Feel your feet and ankles and feel them relax. Now the legs and the knees. Feel these parts of your body and begin to feel them relax. The thighs and hips. Relax. The belly and the chest. Relax. The fingers and the wrists. Relax. The arms and the elbows. Relax. The upper arms and shoulders. The throat and the chin. The face and the whole head. All relax. the back of the head, the shoulder blades, they relax. The back and the buttocks, relax. The back of the thighs and knees, relax. The calves and heels, relax. The soles of both feet, relax. The whole body is relaxed. Whole body completely relaxed. I want to thank you all for joining me this evening. If it's raining over where you are like it is here, you can hear the rain pounding outside. It's rather relaxing. So you might choose to stay there in your relaxation longer, which I would encourage you to do. Let yourself drift off if you've got time. Either way, I want to thank you for sharing your practice this evening, for trusting me to guide you through your practice. It's really an honor to be able to do this as my living. And as always, my main mission is to try and support you in your practice and your journey. So if there's any way that you think I can help you do that, please reach out and let me know. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your relaxation and the rest of your evening. I'll hopefully see you next week for Vinyasa and Yin Yoga at 6 o'clock. I am hoping to do some chanting outdoors in the near future. It's not really safe to do it indoors, and it's been brutally hot this summer. But I think things will begin to cool down as we enter into fall. And so sign up on Patreon or Facebook or my website for more details about that. Hopefully we'll be doing some outdoor yoga and chanting soon. Thank you all. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.